Nassir Al-Khishman. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, baby. Nice to be here.
Yeah, man, it's been a
Oh,
long time since we've talked. How have you been?
pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. I'm in Columbus, Ohio now, so USA. I moved out of Canada, and I'm with my wife now. Like that's where she is, and life is just so much better when you're with other people. So,
That's wonderful, bro. Yes, I couldn't agree more. And yeah, I know it's been an interesting journey for you both over the last few years with your engagement and then your wedding and both of you kind of taking different directions in your education and your career. So
yeah.
yeah, it's really great that you both are able to be together now and sort of
Hey,
continue
man.
on your paths while you're there supporting each other.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been, we've had some yeah, like long distance sucks. Long distance sucks. I've done it, this with Keely actually, that's been a strength in our relationship. I've had long distances before, and actually, that's how I realized that I wanted to marry her. But because we had a long distance early on in our relationship, and it was just like, uh, it was a good experience, surprisingly. But the last 2 years have been just like way too long. So
Mm-hmm. I can imagine, especially like it was such a such a long distance, right? In different countries and quite a ways away. And
yeah, we had to meet in Windsor,
hmm
which, by the way, is called the romantic city of Canada, or one of the romantic cities in Canada, because like it's called the Rose City, and it's for that exact reason because like people who travel by car or live in the separate countries, US and Canada, would meet there because it's a border town.
okay. I never would have thought of
I
Windsor,
know.
Ontario as being
Me
a
neither.
particularly romantic city, but
I know.
there
Me
you have
neither.
it.
Sorry, everybody from Windsor out there.
Hey, I think there are worse things that cities can be known for, so I think they'll take it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Um, okay, what's interesting is I wasn't really planning on talking to you about like distance relationships or really romantic relationships at all. I mean, I had, as we talked about before we started the recording, like we had a few different topics in mind, but hey, let's see where the conversation takes us, and maybe we can touch on that as well.
Oh, what the? Sorry, I'm just gonna. All right, back. Okay, let's do it. Touch on relationships. No pun
Technical
intended.
technical difficulties, you okay?
Yeah, yeah. I DC'd for a little bit. Disconnected.
Okay. No, you're fine. It
Okay.
happens. Okay, cool. So let's get into it here. I thought, like I do with all my guests, firstly for our listeners, I thought I would share a little bit about like how you and I know each other. So Nasser and I met in university in our undergrad. So we both went to University of Western Ontario in London, Ontario. And specifically, we met in our third year. Um, and what allowed us to meet was we were both involved in Western's residence life program. So we were both resident staff members. So kind of like residence dons, like the upper year students who live in the residence buildings with first year students and help support them through their like orientation and getting through their first year with all kinds of activities and programming. And yeah, like that's how we met each other. We were on the same like resident staff team, like in the same building called Essex Hall in our third year. And yeah, we just like really hit it off. I think one of the first things that we bonded over was our shared love of rap music.
Yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
I'm so glad you say rap. I hate it when people say hip hop.
Oh, that's good because I was about to say hip hop and then
Oh.
oh man.
You
And
got me with it. So
yeah, and specifically like even within that, like our shared love of Drake, being our favorite artist, and both from like the greater
yep.
Toronto area.
Yep.
Like I grew up in Scarborough. Nasser spent a lot of time in Mississauga, so I guess not technically part of the six, but like broader area six. So like you know
Probably six.
gotta support the man.
Yeah, I mean he shouts us out in a song or two, so
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, so ever since then, like we've been really close. Like we both continued to do residence life in fourth year, but we were on in different buildings, but we still stayed in touch. We did other volunteer activities, like another great thing that Western does is called the Early Outreach Conference. It's like a great initiative for grade 7 and 8 students to start to get introduced to the world of post-secondary education. So we were both kind of like camp counselors for a weekend, doing that for them, and that was a lot of fun. And then ever since then, we've just been really close. And what was really cool is, and I mentioned this in one of my blog posts earlier, is that so Nasser ended up marrying one of our mutual friends who he also met at Western named Keely. They started dating in their fourth year, and they got married in 2023, 3 years ago. And what was really cool is they both invited me to not only attend their wedding, but be the master of ceremonies at their wedding, which was such an honor and privilege and such a fun experience, especially because it was all the way out in beautiful Canmore, Alberta, and I had never been there before, and it was just incredible. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
that
mean,
was
it was David MC or bust, man. We were gonna call it off with you.
wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know the
Yeah.
stakes were that high.
We didn't want to pressure you, you know? So
No
he was
pressure,
really good.
just
He
like
was really good.
everything is riding on this though, but no pressure.
Yeah. Well, David was a really good MC, I should say, because he's got the ability to really engage people. Like if you see him in person, he stands out. Like he really wants to connect, and I love that about him. So
Oh, oh, you're too kind. Thank you, bro. That means a lot. And yeah, and so ever that was a really wonderful experience. Definitely one of the highlights of our friendship. But yeah, we've stayed in touch ever since. Unfortunately, haven't been able to keep up in person as much, just with both of us kind of moving around and in different directions that life takes us. But um, fast forward to right now. I mean, ever since I started my blog and podcast a few months ago, Nasser has been incredibly supportive of me. He's always messaging me saying like that he likes the episodes and he thinks it's really cool. So with all those things combined, I was like, oh, I know I got to have him on the show soon. So here we are.
oh, thank you. It's glad, yeah. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Cool, man. So I'm gonna pass it over to you now, and
Okay.
I'd love it if you could tell us a little bit more about who you are and what your journey has been like. So maybe for starters, we could talk about how you've excuse me, like you've moved around a little bit, and like you're not originally from Canada, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was born in Iraq, 96. I'm a 96 kid. I left when I was 7 years old, so if you do the math, I actually left just a couple months before the war, the Iraq war. My mom, you can imagine, my parents pulled a lot of strings to get us out of Iraq at the same time. It was a really like impressive feat in hindsight. I'm very appreciative of my parents. Then I was in UAE for another 7 years or 6 years. So you might have heard of Dubai. That's the city that has Dubai, or Abu Dhabi, or the country that has them. But I was in a smaller city slash town called Fujairah. Had about maybe 50 or 100,000 people. If you're from there, you might have heard of the 16 buildings. I was like near that area, or just like on the outskirts of Fujairah. I really enjoyed it. You didn't know everybody there, but like we had a class where you stuck with everybody and you got really close that way. Yeah. And then when I was 15, because I had my 16th birthday in Mississauga, so I left to come to Canada or to go to Canada. And I was there until just last year, basically. Last year, so I think that I was, yeah, I was 28. I was turning 29. So I'm almost 30 now.
Okay, cool. And did you also live in the UK at one point? I thought I remember you telling me something about that.
Yes, I mean, I was there for a couple of months here and there.
Okay.
So I was there for like a month or two every couple of years. Uh, my parents worked there. They're doctors in the NHS, which is like the health system, national health system in
Mhm.
UK. And my parents were educated in Iraq, where like other countries or most countries except like the ones in North America, you only have to do high school and then go straight to med school. Whereas in North America, you do you have to do undergrad first.
Hmm.
And so technically, like there's a different track or bar, and so it's a lot harder to get into the North American system.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So your parents were both educated in the medical field, but because it was kind of harder to transfer their credentials from back home over to here in Canada, like it would they
Yeah. 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 So we like yeah, I was like away from them for pretty much ever since I was like 15. To be honest, even before that, like my dad had to work in the UK because he's a OBGYN.
Mhm.
It's really like trying to be an OBGYN male and it's not a national UAE, not really easy, surprisingly. So he worked in London since, and I never visited until I went to Canada. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then so you mentioned you moved to Canada just before your 16th birthday. You're 15. So
Yes.
what brought you to Canada from the UAE?
So if you're a foreigner or an immigrant from most of the world, you have really two really good options. Um, well, not really options, it's like goals or dreams country-wise. Canada or Australia. Um, those are like the most welcoming countries and higher quality of living. You can also get a wage. There's some, fairness, good health system, etc. Uh, we got lucky, sort of. I don't know, slash, maybe my mom worked really hard on this, probably did. In that there was like a lottery for young families of doctors to like try to apply. And so she applied for that. But it was still hard to get a job. So we were able to be here whereas she still had to work in the UK. And but yeah, Canada was like the one that like took us in, right? Or like that offered. It was a short opportunity, honestly. It's like I don't know if Canada still does them, but periodically it'll be like maybe 3 months or 6 months is like, hey, we need more doctors in a really remote part of Canada. uh, so foreigners come here and apply to be a young family.
Hmm.
So
I
we
see.
got lucky. We got super lucky, and so we got lucky, and my mom was like diligent.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Like, so you talked us through like the timeline a little bit about like your upbringing and moving around to different countries from Iraq to the UAE, spending some time in the UK and
I'm
eventually
like,
to Canada. Um, and now you're in the US, right?
oh yeah.
So tell us about that most recent chapter of how now you're in the US.
So you want to know more timeline stuff about
Yeah.
it? Or okay. So just in 2020. So I we applied. So I married my wife Keely in 2023 July, and we applied for. So she's a yeah, she's an American citizen, or she has American citizenship. So as soon as that, and knowing that like she's gonna go to Ohio State vet school, we applied for me to go live in the U.S. That was a really painful process because there is so much variation in it. It took it took 14 months for the first like response, right? Like to know there's any progress. So that was like a really painful step. But then after that, it was a series of consecutive 4 month, maybe 3 month steps. So like doing the testing, for if make sure you got like whatever TB shots or whatever, or not, you don't have a TB problem. Um, and then doing the interview. And once I did the interview, it was like, you'll get the visa to, immigrate to US in a week or so. And I got it in like 4 days. And I booked the flight immediately as I got it, or 2 days afterwards. Which is unlike me at the time because I was like very frugal with my money. I was like, oh, I don't want to buy it on surge pricing. What is this, Uber? I said, but I was like, man, it's been 2 years, so I'm
Okay.
not waiting anymore.
And so you started the process to move to the US right around when you and Keely got married in July 2023. And so
Yeah,
when did all that come through and you finally got the green light to say, yeah, you can move here and work here and all that?
yeah, is I think it was like April, the end of April is when I got the green light, and then
Last year.
I, yes, May 2025, right?
So the whole thing took almost 2 years, basically.
No, 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 from 23 to
Yeah.
2025, so 2 years. You say
Yeah.
three?
No,
Okay,
it's a two.
I misheard you say yeah.
Okay.
My hearing is not great. I've been listening to a lot of like really loud EDM slash funk music, so.
What happened to rap, man? Why are you listening to that instead of rap?
So I still listen to rap a lot, but I just found this music to be extremely energizing at the gym.
Hmm.
Uh, I watched this. It's all because of some YouTube shorts. There's this guy called Anatoly. Have you
Hmm.
heard of him before?
No, I
Yeah.
haven't.
Okay, so he's this like small frame guy, but he's like really good trained at deadlifts, and
Mhm.
so he'll do like these like gym pranks that are like really inspirational, where he just fucking like deadlifts like 5, 6 plates on each side, and sometimes he'll do them like he'll pretend to be a cleaner and then he'll do it. And then when there's the lift, it's like some really intense funk music. And so I heard that and I was like, okay, that was like creating an inspiring loop in my mind. So I was like, okay, I I was just watching one of his shorts before I deadlifted one time, and I was like able to do way more reps, and I was like, okay,
Mhm.
I gotta try this. So
Yeah.
I started getting into it for the gym, and it's like spilling over into the rest of my life right now.
Yeah. And now it's making you hear three when I said two.
Yeah. Dude, my hearing was already bad before fog, and now I like not only do I listen to this on really loud music, I got headphones that like are the loudest. So I used to have a Bose, I still have a Bose, but for working out, I use a Skull Candy Skull Crusher, which honestly is illegally loud, in my opinion, or can get illegally loud, which is why I love it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, all
yeah.
right. So I'll be sure to speak a little bit slower
Yeah,
here so you
speak
can
louder, please.
hear, or speak louder so you can hear
Yeah.
because maybe your hearing is damaged by now. Hopefully not. Okay. So, all right. So that whole process of moving to the US took almost 2 years. Um,
Yeah.
and and so now this is like your fourth or fifth different country, I guess, that you've kind of visited or at least lived in, spent an extended period of time in. So like what has that whole experience been like for you of moving around, you know, new work, new school, new friends, new surroundings, like, what was that like, and what did you learn from all that, constant transition?
Okay, real quick gear change here. I mean, you could say a lot of positive and negative things about it. I think the thing that like has stuck out to me the most that maybe defines me is that like I never felt like I had a home, right?
Hmm.
Or like a location was never a home. So for example, you hear like a lot of rappers talk about their city being the best, right? This is part of like because like music is ritualistic in my opinion, so or tribalistic. So you try to like celebrate your local area. And so when they talk about that, I'd be like, oh man, I can't relate to that. I don't feel like patriotism for any place, right? What what I consider home is like the people around me, and I have to like really like mentally make them my home, right? So for example, when we were in residences, we would be on these like staff teams, and the staff teams would sort of be like a home, right? Because those are the people that you're around with all the time, or a lot of the time.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, and sometimes that like spills over to my work, which is not great. Not you don't want to think of your work as a home, but right now, like getting to be with my wife, we also have a dog. Franny maybe she'll show up later in this interview. Those are my home. So.
Wow. That's that's interesting because I feel like that's also like that's challenging on the one hand for sure, but also really like really beautiful and inspiring. Like, and I don't think I've said this before on some of my other episodes, and I'll say it to you. Like a really cool thing that I'm experiencing is like a lot of my guests are people that I've known for a long time, like you. But
Yeah.
as we have these conversations, like I'm learning new things about you all. Like I'm hearing things for the first time, and like I've never heard you like put things like in those words like that, you know, you with moving around so much, you never really felt like you had much of a home, but like it totally makes sense, like based on your experiences. And yeah, man, I can see how that would really shape a big part of like, you know, how your identity and how like how you perceive yourself in the world.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, when one of the things that we talked about previously, I like to say that people are multi-dimensional, and that's like that dimension has created definitely lasting effects in my life.
Mhm.
You'll get into them if you keep watching this podcast episode.
All right. I'm sure that'll get everyone hooked.
Open loop.
I'm hooked now. Like I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
yes, please tell me. Like
yeah.
okay. So I feel like that's a good segue into like, you know, what I wanted to ask you about next, which is more like your educational and career journey. And I'm sure as you alluded to just now, like your upbringing and moving around had a big influence on that. So um, when we first met in third year at Western, I believe you were studying medical biophysics, correct?
Correct. Correct.
And I believe you had gone on to graduate that in undergrad,
Yes,
and
sir.
then initially your plan was to pursue a master's in that specific field, right?
Yeah, to be honest, I wanted to do a PhD,
Okay.
but I wasn't sure. There is a track where you go from master's to PhD, so I was like, okay, I guess there's a little less risk there. I think it's hard to go from a PhD to a master's because you have this whole commitment, and it's like, well, did you finish anything that's like a commitment? Whereas if you go with master's, you have a commitment, and then you can build on top of that. Uh, yeesh.
Okay. So it's 2018.
Yeah.
You graduated from undergrad,
Yeah.
and I think you did start your master's in biophysics, right? Or no?
Yeah. So it's a sub branch of biophysics. It's
Okay.
called molecular imaging.
Okay.
And so if you guys do like a MRI or a PET scan, a nuclear
Mhm.
medicine scan, or a CAT scan, a computer tomography scan, that's this kind of stuff that I was interested in and researching. And that's just like there's other things within the branch of molecular imaging, but those are the ones that you can like use on humans while they're still alive and like breathing and repeatedly. And so that was the one that I was interested in because like I don't know if any of you have watched Iron Man before, but like there's like a really cool scene where he's got this hologram. I've always loved this of like I think it was his brain or something. And I watched a lot of movies. And and he was just like analyzing the damage with Jarvis. And I was like, oh shit, that's really cool. I like that. We can get there someday. So that was one of the things. The other thing is in biology we have these like in high school biology we have all these textbooks or like they have these blurbs about experiments. And I remember learning about the experiments that you know elucidated the structure of DNA. And I was like, holy shit, like that's so interesting. And like you just by these experiments, you find out how something looks like. And so that's like those two things really got me into imaging, especially like imaging the tiny details and just being able to do them on humans while I'm alive. Like I want to be able to do that on myself, see everything. That's what drew me to that research branch.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So okay, so you're doing your master's in biophysics. You finished that in when did you
Oh,
when did you
yeah,
finish?
2020, man. Just like when COVID. So I just finished my experiments 2 months before COVID hit. So all the data collection. And I was doing the analysis and writing my thesis during COVID. So, you know, kind of, maybe it was a good thing that I didn't do a PhD.
Okay, why? Because I was gonna ask you about that next because I do remember initially you were planning to to continue and do a PhD in that field, but then you finished your master's and then you changed directions. So what happened there? What made you want to change directions?
Yeah, well, the jab that I just made was because like the year after I finished my master's would have been, or maybe 2 years would have been really hard not to do a PhD in because it was very antisocial. Like I think I went to the lab a year or two later to say hi to a friend, and like he was the only one around, and like it was hard for me to get in because so this lab's in a hospital, so like it makes sense, but he had to keep me in, right? In a hospital. So usually I was just able to sneak around. And to be honest, I wonder if it's still like that. I wouldn't be surprised. Um, yeah, things have changed for sure after that. But with like that's a jab. But you asked about like how did I change directions, sort of.
Mhm.
Yeah. After I did my master's, I don't know, I was like I I just felt like I didn't have any control over my life. Like I felt like a paper bag in the wind.
Mm,
And so I was like, I want to do I want to take an action that I'm interested in. I want to fix something that I think is broken. And so I turned my attention to some of the grad school processes. Honestly, the process isn't that bad, but it could be better. So it's really hard to find a graduate supervisor and research topic that you're interested in. When you find somebody that's truly passionate about a topic and a supervisor that's compatible for them, you get like all these amazingly productive outputs that just pushes the world forward. But most of the grad school, what occurs in grad school is like you email, like a really like ambitious students will email 100 people and they'll find somebody that like they're interested in, but it may not be the best fit because they just randomly selected these 100 because they're in this region or whatever, unless they actually did like they had this research interest in mind and they searched all the research papers and they narrowed down all the best profs, and for that specific subtopic it would have been really hard for them to find out somebody that like that perfect match. And so I tried to help with that problem. Uh, yeah,
I see. Okay. So it sounds like there were a couple different factors that right when you finished your master's led you to change directions. COVID, the pandemic, the isolation, the lack of
yeah,
social connection and interaction while you would have been doing your research and spending time in the labs,
yeah,
combined with like shifting interests and like you said, shifting priorities, like wanting to have more control over your life,
yeah,
not wanting to be so beholden to like the thesis supervisors that you might be paired with, wanting to like um, get more involved in like the solutions to certain problems that you had been experiencing. So where did all that take you? Because like honestly, like I know we've kept in touch throughout the years, but like you've done so many different things since then. Like I've had trouble keeping up with you. So again, like I'm learning about this too. So like where
yeah.
did you shift your attention to next, and what was the next step after that?
Yeah, so there was a thread that started earlier that I didn't talk about. Is that like I was doing my master's, I was like having such a really good time with software. I thought it was really interesting, and so that was a positive force that also inspired me to try to fix that problem, and that thread has led me down a lot of where I went down after. So after like I had a startup for like problem. I exited that one and then I joined another startup as a backend engineer or software backend engineer. I did that and then I was recruited by a radiology startup, so back to that molecular imaging, but to actually be using software, so that was like a nice opportunity. I took that and I've been in the industry ever since, mostly in startups, right? I try to like stay. I like, there's pros and cons for both like startups and corporate. With startups, you can do a lot more. Uh, yeah, you can try to serve people and change what the product looks like or the service. With corporate, like obviously you can have leverage. A lot of leverage as you advance up the ladder, but you don't get to see something grow up from it being a baby.
I see.
Unless yeah, unless you've been there since it was a startup.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting. All right, so you really ended up like moving to something very different, right? Because you were in the medical field, more of the natural sciences, if you will, and then all of a sudden you got into the realm of like software development and technology, right? So and then you did that for a little while, and then it sounds like then you started doing something that was maybe like a combination of the two things. Like you said, then you were at one point you worked for a startup that was in more of like the medical imaging space. So like I guess
yeah,
you got an opportunity to like combine those two different
yes,
aspects of your experience. Okay.
yeah, that's right. I'm a good listener.
Well, it's easy when you have such interesting people to listen to.
Okay.
All right. So like so what are you doing right now?
Yeah, so right now I'm in the software industry, um, or for a company that makes software to help diagnose cancer for radiologists, not for radiologists, to help radiologists diagnose cancer or mark cancer and then assess how that cancer is progressing in response to therapies, right? If you have a cancer, you're going to be receiving a therapy. We want to make sure that that therapy is working for you because everybody responds differently. And so they assess it using the software that I'm an employee in. But at the same time, I'm also like, I'm really passionate or like, okay, new thread. At the same time, like I've been passionate about or obsessed about fitness since I was like, I don't know, maybe 14, 13, 13, 14, 13. I'm really bad with like age. Um, and I lost a lot of weight at the time, but I didn't, it felt awesome, but I didn't get the abs that I wanted, which is okay. It was okay. I kind of like, was like, well, at least I feel good now. But then I continued to try half-assedly maybe over, up until 3 months ago or 4 months ago. Yeah, just being like, okay, I can maybe do that. But I wasn't doing it with purpose or like intention. And and so the beginning of this year, I decided, you know what? Like this is a hill that I'm willing to die on. Not like getting abs, but like helping. Like obviously, yes, part of it is getting abs for myself. So it's a selfish reason. But like helping er- minimize obesity in the world. That's a hill that I'm willing to die on because I see like in all the research with the health research that I've done, and I am obsessed. A lot of it has been like obesity is a precursor. Obviously, you can get diseases without obesity, um, but that's one that like causes metabolic syndrome and a lot of issues. And I also remember just like when I was obese as a kid, I was 240 pounds, about 110 kilos in like grade 8.
Oh
I
wow.
did not feel good, right? Like moving around was tough, always panting, and it was a hot country too. But confidence wise, for me, like it absolutely like hurt my confidence being so overweight relative to everybody else. Not everybody feels that way, but for me, it was huge. And so this is like I became really obsessed with this. And so now I just like have a fat loss YouTube channel. I'm trying to like serve people in the best way that I can, but I'm still figuring this out.
Wow. That is that is such an interesting and like profound journey, right? Like there's so much there to like to unpack and learn from. Like I feel like there's so much like wisdom and expertise that you gained from all that. So like okay, so like on the one hand, like it sounds like what you're doing right now is like your quote unquote day job is like you're still in this space of like combining these two major areas of interest for you. Like on the one hand, like the medical field and like medical imaging and that sort of thing, but on the other hand, like software development and technology. So like, um, I guess firstly, like I just wanted to ask you like what makes you interested in like those two fields and like the intersection of those two like distinct areas? Like why is that important to you?
Just health in general.
Yeah.
Maybe I've just like heard older people say, "All you got at the end is your health," and maybe that just like subconsciously stuck in my mind. To be honest, I don't know. I just know that like it was really important to me, and I'm obsessed about it, right? And I think that's like part of like obsession is like you can't, no matter how hard you try to define it. And then I have spent a lot of time on this. You can't. You just like, ugh, like there's something in the brain that just like clicks, right? It's like draws you to it. Yeah.
Okay. And then what about like the software side of it? That's like the health side. What about the software side or the technology side?
Yeah, so the software is like it can be interesting in like in many ways, like and I find it like a nice exercise most days. I like being able to organize thoughts, use logic, math skills. Like math is just a sub branch of logic. Software is just a sub branch of logic. And like being able to exercise that helps me with my life in general. And so software is just like a way that I can exercise it, really, to be honest. Also, like I enjoy it because you can make things cleaner, right? But you can also make things that serve people and scale infinitely, right? In theory, you
Hmm.
can't like you don't have infinite energy, but like being able to automate something, simple maybe something simple once and never having to think about it again, or maybe a few times again. Yeah, that could save a lot of people a lot of time. Yeah, being able to do that, um, something even more complex can save people a lot of time. And the way I see it is like I have to see it as a means to an end software, right? It's like, it helps me provide for myself, right, in a stable way because I have maybe some sort of talent for it, so it's an easy way for me to provide for myself and my family. But um, I have to think about it in terms, or like I believe that like software engineers should think about it in terms of like how are they providing a competitive service for people? Because it's really easy to go down a path where you obsess over the code and how clean it is, and you're not actually making anybody's life better.
Hmm.
Um, so that one's like something yeah, it's a plethora of things really. And yeah, I just try to not obsess over the details there.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you know what I'm hearing is like a really common theme that you keep coming back to, which is this idea of like helping people and like making a difference for people. And it's interesting that that's taken shape in a variety of different forms for you, right? Like initially it was more like purely in the medical field, then for a little while it was focusing on software. Now it's like the
Yeah.
intersection of those two. But I really get the
Yeah.
sense that like what's driving you and all that, and the purpose that you derive from that is like making a positive impact on the lives of people in a meaningful
Yeah.
way. And it's therefore like it's kind of the way I see it is like it's no surprise that you've moved on to what you mentioned that you're focusing on now is like um your like content creation in the realm of like fat loss and really addressing like the issue of obesity in and of itself, but also how that can be like the precursor to a lot of other diseases like you mentioned. So like what I think is really cool is like I've always seen you as like as you mentioned like a very multifaceted guy, like interested in a lot of different like unique and distinct things. But now
Right.
and again it makes sense with how we met, right? Like residence life helping students, like that's like
Yeah.
the common theme that's like underpinning all these things is like I think that
Yeah.
it says a lot about who you really are and like and what's really important to you in terms of like making a difference for other people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not a saint, obviously. You know, but but like I think a lot of things help people, right? Most of what everybody does helps people to some degree. Um, and you just have to realize that, frame it that way in your mind so that you can do it better, right? Like if your job wasn't helping people, why would anybody pay you for it?
Yeah. Good.
Right? So, or job, role, position, whatever it is, right? Whatever you're doing.
Mhm.
I am guilty of like in my life indulging in things that are just like creative, that were not helping anybody, maybe just helping myself. But obviously, as a result, I wasn't paid. Like I used to, I used to make a lot of. David, you know this. I used to make a lot of rap beats in
Oh,
university.
they were so good, man. They were so good. Like,
I thank you, but I never released any of them because I'm like, one day I'm gonna drop that album, and then, and then, now it's easy to make that stuff with like Suno, for example. So it's like it's almost obsolete. I enjoyed it honestly. It was a nice creative endeavor, and like the music is still inspiring and has its own unique style, but um, the opportunity has closed. Or has become less attractive than the ones that I'm pursuing right now.
yeah, hey, that's life, right? Like as one door closes, another door opens. So now that's another cool aspect of what you do, right? Like you have this like really strong mind for like um I guess like the quantitative stuff, the analytical stuff, the scientific stuff, but you also have this like really interesting like creative side to you, right? And for a while that was music, like you mentioned making beats and stuff, and you're interested in rap, not hip hop. And now that's taking form in like content creation, which is like a, an emerging space that like a lot of people are getting into, like myself included. And yeah, so like I just see that as kind of like the natural progression of like that's kind of how um we evolve, and this is just the next um venue for you to like leverage your skills and pursue your passions.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that so I don't want to get like I'm left-handed or whatever, so like that's supposed to be more creative. And
Oh, really?
like it's supposed to be more creative than like if you're right-handed, but I don't know how valid the research is on that. But like, I have some signals in my life that I'm like this, like the left-handed thing, but like my grandpa is a poet, RIP. RIP grandpa. Uh, and he basically was creative for his job. And I feel like if you have a quart of blood in your blood, your 5 liters, that has creativity, you have to like use that. You have to use that. Like it's your responsibility, but also if you don't use it, I think I don't know. I think it could backfire. What do you think? Sorry, what do you think? I guess you don't know what I'm saying. Hold on, let me just like,
I do. I think
okay.
what I'm gathering is like you're saying, and like how you got this lesson initially from your grandfather, which is like we all have the ability to be creative, or at least like even if we wouldn't necessarily define ourselves overwhelmingly as creative, a lot of us still have some element of our personality and character that can be creative. And I think what you're saying is if we feel that we have a creative side to us, if we feel called to that realm, um, it's incumbent upon us to pursue it because it's kind of like a gift that we have that we can, by developing it, we can share it with others by creating things that are meaningful and helpful to people in various ways. That's what I gather from what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, and like the danger part at the end is like I don't know. I feel like you don't want pent up creativity as well.
Mm,
I've seen people, I don't want to share names or anything because it's like not my story, but like I've seen people regret not being creative or the opportunity. And like you could just see that they want to do it and that they are tortured by not having the chance to do it. um, to a point where it like, manifests as ailments on the body.
Mm,
Sounds like, it sounds like voodoo because I'm speaking really vague, but I'm sure there are specific examples in medicine where, you know, you have mental strain or tension. And if you don't, for example, exercise it or exercise in general, acid is going to stay within you and like cause all sorts of issues.
interesting. Okay, so like you're saying that for 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 those of us, which is most of us, if not all of us, that have some creative aspect to our character or some like inclination to pursue some kind of creative endeavor,
Yeah,
if we don't, it's kind
yeah,
of like we let that like almost like fester inside us.
yeah,
It can
yeah.
build up to a point where it can actually cause us some problems like with our health and our well-being. So like all the more reason why it's really important for us to like to pursue like creative activities and lean into those creative interests.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Oh,
Oh, thank God, I was able to say that and you were able to absorb it.
we make a good team.
Yeah,
Okay, so I know we've been jumping around a little bit because like I'm just interested to like hear about all these different things
yeah.
you're doing and the connection between those things. But um like so with the oh, that's my timer going.
What
But
does that say? 45 minutes?
yeah, look, time flies when we're having fun. So we're getting towards the end here, but regarding your newest endeavor with the content creation that
Oh,
focuses on like fat loss, like what are some of the highlights that you had in terms of like the research that you've done, the knowledge that you've discovered, and what you shared with people? Or
yeah.
maybe another way of saying that is like what are the most important things you would share with someone who wants to learn more about like fat loss and that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's ups and downs. I've had, videos that were really good and I've had videos that did really good and videos that did really bad.
Hmm.
Uh, and I pay a lot of attention to the data, of course, and I also want to be like try to pay subjective attention to it as well because, I got to be proud of it at the end of the day. Uh yeah, but sorry, I'm like maybe 45 minutes is my attention.
I'm pushing you. I'm pushing you beyond the
Yeah,
limit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Dude, I gotta go to Washington too. But like, hold on. Okay, what was the question again?
Like, like, what are the highlights of like the
Yeah.
what you've learned about like fat loss? And you know, I'm asking like selfishly for me. I have a reason for asking because like I
Oh,
over the last
oh.
few months, indirectly like I ended up like bulking pretty hard. Like I
Wait,
worked out a
okay.
lot. I ate a lot. I'm not sure if I told you I recently started doing F45, which has been like fucking
Nice,
awesome. I love it. Like
nice,
I've really gotten in like the best shape of my life because of that. But the downside is because I've been working out a lot and eating a lot, I also gained like a lot of fat mass, probably a bit too much.
really?
Yeah, I
Really?
gained muscle mass definitely, like significantly, but I also gained a lot of fat mass too. So like, and I wasn't even intending it for it to be that way, but that's just how it kind of went. And so now I'm at the point where like I feel like I bulked pretty hard, and now I gotta like cut a little bit. So like, this is perfect. Like, so teach me about fat loss. What do I need to know?
Yeah. So a lot of people will hear about like calories in, calories out, right? You gotta have a deficit.
Hmm.
That's a great starting point. And that's like the most important piece of information. I would say that's like 90%, 80% of what you need to know, right? So you just gotta have a deficit. But I made some mistakes just following that, right? I try to go super hard on things, and so back when I was dieting, I'd have some deficits of like 3, 4,000 a day, which is not a good idea. Yeah, it's
Oh,
not a good idea. It's
that's a lot.
okay if you're like 1,000 pounds to have that kind of deficit because your body can use all that fat for energy. But there's a law called Alpert's law. As you lose weight, it's harder and harder to use fat for energy because your body just can't mobilize it as quickly, right? Like imagine if you have a city and you have a bunch of I don't know, sources of oil or whatever in it. If you have sources of oil that are all over the place, it's going to be really easy to use that oil for energy. But if you have, just one or two and they're small, it's going to be hard to use that oil. You might have to tap into some electrical sources or hydro, which is, your lean body mass. And so there is like like an exponentially decreasing relationship of like how much of your energy you can use for fat, especially as you lose more and more fat. And so I'd be careful the deficit is to anybody that's like watching, right? If you're like around 20% body fat, I would definitely not have a deficit of more than 1,000 calories a day. There's actually a formula for it. Just look up Albert's law. It's about 33 calories per pound per day, I think. So if you have 10 pounds of fat, you can use 3,300, sorry, 330 calories per day from fats. If you have 30 pounds of fat, then it's about 1,000, and that will put you around like 15% body fat. Yeah, that would be the biggest thing for me. You'll hear things about like cortisol, insulin, whatever. I think that can get really confusing for somebody that just wants to, lose a bit of fat mass, right? Especially while gaining muscle. I wouldn't bog down on those low level details unless you're like obsessed about it, as I am.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, no, I think that has the potential to be like super helpful for a lot of people because I think a lot of people who are interested in fat loss think like, oh yeah, as you said, they're like, I got to be in a caloric deficit. That, logically makes sense. But I like what you said about how it's more nuanced than that, right? And it really depends on our specific circumstances, how much, weight or fat we want to lose, where we're starting from. And like you said, we need to be careful with it. We need to like keep it within certain parameters. So I think a lot of people are going to benefit from that, and no doubt all the other research that you're doing and knowledge that you're sharing.
Sick.
So we're getting towards the end here, and I don't want to strain your attention span too much, um, but and I know you said you gotta go to the bathroom, so I don't want to make you too uncomfortable that way, but
I've been needing to go ever since I've been doing this shit.
oh man, so like like we've talked about a lot of different things today, and I always like to end my episodes like in this way because like a big part of what I'm trying to do, in addition to highlighting the great work like people like you are doing out there, is like really send the elevator back down, so to speak, so like reaching out to people who are just at the beginning of their journey, whatever that might look like, and are want to get started in a particular direction, but or maybe have
Yeah,
a hard time getting started, or experiencing some challenges along the way.
yeah.
Knowing what you know now with the journey that you've had and everything you've experienced, like what lessons would you share with people, and what advice would you give for someone who's just starting out, in any of the things you've been involved you've been through, right? Whether it's moving to a new country, or changing educational paths, or career paths, or starting your own um endeavor, like with content creation, or like getting married and doing like distance relationship, like if you could share like one thing, or like what would you say?
Yeah, I mentioned like earlier in this conversation that I'm like, for part of my life, I've been like a paper bag in the wind, where change just happens to me. Um, More and more as I grow up, and like part of it has been like because I don't have the control, but the or didn't have the control, but I also had a part of it was like I formed this idea that like change doesn't matter, right? I don't know how many people have that opinion. If you do, connect with me because we're the same person. But like I used to have this idea that change doesn't matter. Um, like who cares if you're like a lefty or a righty, like politically or whatever. Um, like they both have their pros and cons, etc. And I wouldn't take a side. As I get older, I've had to like really think about that, and like that has been like the biggest positive thing for me is being able to actually appreciate that change can be good, right? Especially changing your own behavior. And like a crazy example of that one is, if you have a dog, right, and you're trying to train it not to pee in the house, just imagine if it just kept peeing in the house, right? You got to make sure that you're not peeing in your own house and realize that like there are changes that can be for the good. And if there are, then what changes are for the best?
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing that, bro. That was beautiful. Um, Last question. What's next for you? Like, what are you going to be working on in the near future? And you mentioned that you're getting involved in content creation. So, like, where should people go to check out your work and keep in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm still gonna like I still love software. I'm gonna continue to build software wherever it can make an impact. Content creation, if you're interested in fat loss and you want to watch content, then you can check out my channel at Naskishman, Naskishman. That's on YouTube only right now. I don't have time. But if you don't like, if you don't care about that, if you don't want to lose weight, don't watch it. It's probably not a good use of your time.
Fair enough, man. Well, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that would be interested to hear about what you found out in that realm. I know I'm as I said, I'm definitely one of them. So I will probably have some follow-up questions for you.
Like,
And we'll be sure to share the link to your YouTube channel like in the description for this episode on Spotify.
sick.
Cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Nassir Al-Khishman, bro. I think you're fucking awesome. I really have a lot of respect for you. I think you've been doing and continue to do like a lot of really cool things, and like we've kind of realized today, all of them have the common theme of like helping people in meaningful ways. And most importantly, like you've always been such a great friend to me, like ever since we met, and it's just been such a joy to get to know you and see all the ways you've grown. And
Thanks,
I'm
David.
really excited for you and for Keely and what the future holds for you both. And hope we can continue to be good friends for many years to come.
Oh yeah. Thank you so much.
Of course, bro. All right, we'll wrap it up there, but I'm sure we'll chat more soon.
Oh shit, that was still on it? Damn.
You're like, oh, that's one thing I forgot to mention, everyone listening. That on top of all his galaxy of wonderful qualities, Natsir can also be a real hooligan. He's a he's a real funny guy. Uh, he's a little rascal at times. So don't let his like polished and professional and maybe innocent appearance fool you. He can be a funny guy at times in many different ways. All right. Thanks, bro. This has been a lot of fun, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Okay, now we're
All right. Yeah.
done.